The Planet Sport Rugby Podcast.
Hello, Lynn Flint here. Welcome to the Planet Sport Rugby Podcast. In this series, we're all about African rugby as we talk to some of the biggest talents from across the continent. Now, our guest today has a big job on his hands to raise the bar. Last week, you remember we had Uganda's Philip Wakarach. He joined me here on the show. Ngoni Chibuwe is here. He's the man in the hot seat, the Zimbabwe international. He's a big unit, so you don't want to mess with him. Ngoni, great to be with you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, Liam, great to be with you as well. I think I am ready, I must say that.
I mean, it's great to hear. Otherwise, we'd have had a very awkward half an hour. Probably would have hung up after 15 minutes. So I'm glad you're on the same page as me, mate. That's good news.
Yeah, it's good. Let's do it.
And Ngoni, I'm guessing for rugby fans in Zimbabwe, they'll have watched you playing for your country for some time now, both the Sables and 15s, Cheetahs in 7s. You're going to be a bit of a familiar name to most, I'm sure. But it's fair to say, isn't it, you've had a bit of an interesting story in that you're a bit of a late bloomer to rugby. You've had a bit of a sporting background outside of the sport as well. Am I right in thinking you only chose to focus on rugby a handful of years ago? Just tell us about that process.
Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. Now, growing up, my brothers played cricket. So I started playing cricket at the age of 9. Just growing up from grade 1 to A-level, I was just playing cricket and I did very well. I played for Mountaineers, which is like a provincial team, and I was selected to play for Zimbabwe as well. I was in the Under-19 World Cup squad, but I didn't go because I chose rugby, and I also kept in Hillcrest College, first team for 2 years. Yeah, that was pretty amazing. And I basically kept in almost each and every age group growing up for Mountaineers, and it was an amazing experience. So rugby, I was introduced to rugby at the age of 15, but it was just like playing touch rugby. I don't know how the transition came about, but I just started loving rugby, yeah.
Man, that's amazing. So I should call you Mr. Cricket, really. So you're saying you passed up the opportunity under 19 World Cup and you went, nah, I'm all right, thanks.
Yes. So the thing is, I would have actually played. I was in the squad. Obviously, I was hoping to make this squad, but at the same time, because I was writing my exams and the World Cup was going to overlap, and then I was going to affect me in writing my exams. So I actually decided to go for the Under-20 Rugby World Cup qualifiers, which we played in Nelspruit. That was in 2018, and that only took 1 week as compared to the World Cup that was going to play probably for like 3 months, and the preparations took long as well. So I decided to just play rugby at that moment.
Wow. I mean, that's not bad though, is it? Having a choice between basically going pro in 2 sports. I mean, you basically, that's your punishment for being spoiled. You have to make a choice, I suppose.
For sure.
Was it hard to put like the cricket dream to one side and go 100% for rugby, or was it just make common sense to you? You always wanted to do that anyway.
And it was a bit tough, but also like for rugby, it was just pretty easy for me because I was really working hard more in rugby and putting a lot of work in rugby. It just happened. I think maybe because I was hating cricket because I wasn't in form. But I know I could always bounce back. The nice thing with rugby compared to cricket is, and cricket, I was an all-rounder. I bowled all spin and middle over the batsman, stuff like that. But the thing is, when you get out in cricket, maybe you have a 0, or if you don't have a good day, that would be bad because you just sit out the whole day. But in rugby, if you get smashed, you got a chance to come back and tackle somebody so hard. Those little things, I think they contribute to the transition and me just falling in love with the rugby.
Yeah, preach it. I mean, that's so true. What you just said there in a nutshell with cricket, you could your contribution to the game could be over in 1 ball. You could just get an absolute beauty, knock your off stump back, see you later, sit in the pavilion. And it's with rugby, you're always in the game, aren't you? So I suppose you hedged your bets well.
For sure. Yeah, that's right.
I'm really surprised you said you're off spin. Like, judging by the look of you, I wouldn't say you're off spin. I thought you'd be tearing in, bowling 90 miles an hour.
And I wasn't that big back in the days. I was short and a bit stocky, so I just had to bowl spin.
Okay, well, cool, that's good to touch on. That's in the history. We don't look back down memory lane too much. I mean, since then, you've come a long way. Now cap for Zimbabwe. I'm sure you're a bit of a rugby star back home. Lots of people know who you are. Do you enjoy having a balancing act between Sables in 15s and Cheetahs in the 7s? Or do you secretly have one format that you get really excited for?
Oh man, I think when it comes to chasing that ball, I just get excited. Doesn't matter what format I'm playing. I love both 7s and 15s. But of late, because we've been doing so well in the 7 circuit, so I've just taken my time to just play a bit of 7s as well. So, but I love all the formats, 15s and 7s. Just give me a good start to get going in my life.
Sounds like you're a bit of a glory hunter there, Ngoni, really. Wherever the team's doing well, you'll stick your hand up. Be like, yeah, I'll wear the armband today.
Oh yeah, no, just we put in the work as well, so, and we want to test ourselves and see how we play, especially like we play the World Series, playing against New Zealand. We're playing African Cup. No offense to that, it's amazing, but as a player, you also need to grow and challenge yourself and keep going. So. Yeah, man.
For lots of people who are listening to this who maybe only follow rugby union or only follow 7s, they might not understand kind of the unique differences, but they are like almost different sports, aren't they? And that 7s, the disciplines you need for the game are so different to 15s. Is it easy to go from one to the other?
No, it's not. It's not that easy to go from one to another because 7s requires a different whole level of fitness, and it's a lot of running and the physicality as well. It's just the endurance that's required. And I mean, 15s you can get away with a lot of things, but 7s you really need to work hard, and so it's not easy to change. It'll take about a month. It depends on your grind. But yeah, it's just amazing to see players who can actually change from 15s going into 7s and still do very well.
So what's on the horizon for you, looking at both formats if you want to? What's on your calendar for 2019 that's like the ultimate goal or qualification for something? What are you working towards right now?
Definitely this year as Cheetahs, the Zimbabwe Sevens team, we're looking at qualifying for the Olympics. There will be Olympic qualifiers later on this year. That will be an amazing platform for us as a team, and I'm sure the guys are super fired up. Yeah, man, that's all I can say this year. It's a big opportunity for us to qualify for the Olympics.
A big year.
And the big year, indeed, yeah.
I know you've said it already, like 7s are so competitive, especially across Africa. What are the expectations for you guys as a squad? Obviously, you've got the South Africas, Namibias, you've got Kenya, Uganda up there in the 7s. Is it realistic for you guys to say, guys, we're going to win this, we're going to go to the Olympics? Are you hoping, or are you actually saying, we're going to do this, we're capable, no excuses kind of thing?
I mean, to be honest, the will to win is important, but the will to prepare is very vital. And I think it's going to be determined by the work we're going to put in now. But I must say that the guys, we are fired up, and we respect other teams, other opponents. But when we play, we want to win. We want everything. So the guys are hungry, and I can pretty much say the guys are looking dangerous. I've been to the training this past week, and we're gunning for everything. We want to win the cup, and yeah, man, 7's anyone's game. Depends who wants to win it.
Exactly. I know it's so open every single year, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would you say is probably your proudest moment at the minute in wearing a Zimbabwe shirt?
There are a lot of proud moments for me, but going to the World Cup was amazing. It's always been a dream. It's every young man's dream to play at the World Cup. Also playing against Namibia in the 15s. I had a great game, and we almost won. It's just a lot of great memories. Also, just outside the rugby pitch with the brothers, we've got a nice brotherhood. We're always singing and dancing, and it's always good to catch up with the boys.
Yeah, do you find yourself chatting to loads of other guys from the circuit, especially the other teams amongst Africa that you're playing with and playing against every single year? When you go to these major events, do you kind of have a word with them, chat afterwards, meet up afterwards, or do you stick to your squad when you're doing these events?
So during the week before the tournament, we bump into each other in hotels and stuff. But luckily, I've got mates all over the teams, and some guys I've met at the Sharks Academy when I was in Durban. So it's pretty amazing that we catch up. It doesn't matter, most times we play the World Series. We're like the underdog, so we kind of have to learn a lot from these guys, and it's always good that they're very nice guys. It's quite humble, very cork. A lot of guys are always, welcoming, and just they like the Zimbabweans because we just like, what, we're here to learn and we're here to grow.
Yeah.
And let's play. Yeah, so it's good.
So you're nice to them off the pitch, you'll have a drink, and then as soon as you see them on the pitch, you try and smash them basically, and everything goes out the window.
Yeah. When we're playing, we don't know each other, but we chill out together.
We're best friends.
Always, we're best friends actually. Yeah, there's a guy called Shex, and there's Mfundo Ndlovu, Spec Magic is amazing as well. All those guys, I mean, Sneyman, the captain as well, even the coach, pretty amazing people, and just trying to see how we can grow African rugby, not just focusing on the nation. Because remember, we also help them to see and evaluate themselves and, work on certain areas. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, as a nation at the minute, in terms of your rugby, I feel like Zim at the moment, it's in a good position rugby-wise. I know last year you had the Rugby Africa Sevens that you won, going for the Olympics this year. Do you feel like this is an exciting time for you as to be part of these squads?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty excited. But I'll be honest with one thing. We need more support from our country. As Zimbabweans, I feel like we're still lagging behind and not supporting our sports, not just rugby, but when we've been to the World Cup, but the vibe wasn't as great in our country. No one was fired up in. Is compared to if it was soccer, football, everyone would be so fired up. So there's an imbalance in our country in supporting such sports like rugby. And I promise you, I could tell you that 3/4 of the country didn't know that we went to the World Cup.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a bit unfortunate, but the boys are trying, and we're doing a lot. But I feel our country or our admin should just engage to the world out there, and that will help the boys getting corporate sponsorship and stuff like that in the long run. Yeah.
Like you said, is that to do with the sponsorship and exposure, like the coverage that's shown to people? Do you think it goes even further back to like education system and people are not being taught to fall in love with the game of rugby? Can you see a bit of a hole in the system where you think this is where the problem is? Because that's crazy. If 3/4 of the country were unaware, there's clearly a big error there.
Yeah, for sure. And that needs to be fixed as soon as possible. To be honest with you, I can't hide anything from this. It's been ongoing. People say this, we want to do this, but it's been talk, and I really feel for my brothers. It's hard to make it in Zimbabwe, and the guys are working so hard to make sure that sports at least takes them up there. And it's still unfortunate that you go to World Cup and you go to Africa, you African champions, but still there's no paperwork or just a contract to help the guys and smaller things. It's in the pipeline, yes, but I think after the guys are putting in a lot of work, there's no more motivation. If someone goes to World Cup and there's still nothing on paper, so I think there's some of the things that we can work on to help our sportsmen, because it's a full-time job at the end of the day.
Well, maybe coming on this podcast will be the start of something great. This could be the beginning of some exposure, hopefully. That would be awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's really good. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about African rugby, because that's the only way we can grow. Because now, look, people have got other commitments, especially now. If you have a club that you're playing for, say I play in Spain, and I'm being called by the nation to come play. And now there's already friction that, because the nation doesn't have a contract with me, then I cannot play for them. So guys are turning down the opportunity to play for their country. And some guys miss the World Cup because they are committed to their clubs. So, yeah.
Wow. A bit later on, we've got a few questions from listeners. And funnily enough, one of them is very much on this point of looking at the local Zimbabwe league and the system. So we'll hold off for now until we get there, and then unleash you later on. And let you say it like it is. I suppose, Ngoni, the answer for you is to invest as much as you can into the sport and make as much noise as you can in what you do. And I guess that's kind of what you're doing with your foundation in your home area of Matari. Tell us more about that. Hearts of Stone Foundation. Looks like an amazing initiative. Why did you set that up? What is the purpose of it?
I've started a rugby academy, and it's called Hearts of Stone Rugby Academy, and it's situated in Mutare. The idea, was to help the young athletes, giving them the opportunity to train like elite athletes. So I've been around, to be honest, and I've had the opportunity to train with the Springboks when I was down in Durban, and playing with the Sharks, and being in the Currie Cup squad, and being with people like Tendai Mutarira and Chavangas, all those guys, Duplessis, just learning a lot from them, the Movolvos and stuff. I just decided, I know much, and I want to help the people back home. So what I've done is I've saved up, and I've managed to acquire some rugby kit and balls, all those things, and just trying to get uniforms and stuff like that. But what I do is I hold on rugby camps. Every time I'm home, I'm always training with the guys and the boys, and it's actually grown. At most, we have like more than 20, 30 people coming in for the sessions. So it's been amazing just trying to help the guys who are disadvantaged and not getting, the privilege to train as elite athletes, because I promise you, a lot of guys in Zimbabwe here, they just depend on individual skill.
Yeah.
And so that level, just there's a huge gap that people need to realize before rugby actually goes to the ground, So that's what I'm trying to do, man. Just trying to help out.
So what's the ultimate motivation there? Are you hoping to basically give people the opportunity, hopefully then go on, they become success stories, pros, and it all filters back to where they started with Hearts of Stone? I guess that's your vision.
Yeah. So, we've been operating for 2 years. And I can tell you now, we've got a few testimonies and guys coming up and training, and we've got a guy who's been called up to play for Zim A. Actually, two of them, Tatenda Maunga, and we've got Gideon Miyambo. And what I do also is, because I've been all around and helping the guys to get studies and go to South Africa, play rugby. The guys are at the Sharks Academy now. The guys have joined Rovers. The guys have joined Durban Collegians. I think there are about 8 guys now who are playing in Durban. So I'm just helping the guys, get a link to go study in South Africa, enhance their studies and just become something else. Because now in Zimbabwe, it's pretty hard there to make a living. Yeah.
Well, we need regular updates. If success stories still keep coming through, we'll have to get them on here and get you to keep us updated. I'm sure it'll be a massive encouragement to so many people live locally as well. Yes, for sure. That'll be great. I suppose what you're doing is, in a nutshell, is pretty much a reflection of what's going on across Africa. The sport is exploding. I think it's officially now the fastest growing sport across the continent. Many more now countries coming forward, more player nations. You're in the middle of this now. You're going around, you're playing your games, you're touring around, meeting players, meeting fans. What do you think is behind this? Why are people now falling in love with rugby? Can you see this growing further? Yes. Liam, the nice thing with rugby is just like it's action. Especially when we went to the World Cup in America, it's just action throughout. And the guys just started falling in love with the sport. They say American football, I think, might be just slightly lower than rugby, because rugby you're playing throughout, and there's contact. Someone is breaking through the lines, and it's just amazing. The vibe is great, and people are just having fun, and it's just action throughout, which is nice. And I think people actually appreciate it. And apart from just the vibe, rugby teaches us to be disciplined, especially if you're playing rugby. If you're an athlete, you need to make sure you eat right. You need to make sure that you're not hungover. So you're not going to be drinking and taking drugs because you want to be the best. Yeah. If you're doing those kind of things and you want to shine, that's just going to stop you from shining. So you're so disciplined because you want to be the best. You want to be dangerous on the park. So rugby is actually very good. It helps a lot of kids to stay disciplined and just to know values, and just to have that, being a team player and just covering your brothers and, doing something for your family. And, those things just makes rugby a great sport. I think that's the reason why people realize that rugby is actually a good sport. And it makes you a role model in all of this. The more rugby pros that come out of Africa. So what an opportunity for a guy like you, in 5 years' time, especially for Zim as well, when you're saying it's developing that way, you could have a big fan base on your hands.
Yeah, for sure, man. I can't wait to see what the future holds for African rugby and, in Zimbabwe in particular.
Well, it's interesting to see what your future's going to hold in terms of rugby. Yeah. Let's talk about your moves for 2019. Yeah. I know you've been to Spain, yes. Which, again, the dream of going to Europe, and you can now say you've done that. And now you're on the move again. Just tell us about what the plan is for 2019 and where you're headed next.
Oh, great. So I was in Spain. It was good. It was a great experience. But now this year I'm moving to Romania. I'm going to get the opportunity to play the Superliga, I think, which is a top flight league in Romania. So I'll be playing for a club called Club Sportivo Tomitani. It's in Bucharest. So I'll be joining the team in March. Yeah, man, I'm super excited, Liam. What I do is I just focus on each and every game. Just want to be the best and tick all the boxes. I usually set up targets before the game. I want to break lines, score tries, and I set my targets this year, and I just want to have a good time and score tries for the team and absolutely become a key player in the team. So I'm going to Romania later on in March.
You just absolutely smashed that pronunciation, by the way, of the team. I was looking forward to you really struggling over trying to pronounce the team's name that you're going to be playing for, but you sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not even too sure how to say, man, but just confidence.
You've been rehearsing.
Been trying. Yes,
wow, I'm sure no one listening here knows any better, so we'll go with you for that. You're officially playing for them, so you know better than us. So
for sure.
We'll let you get away with it. Can I give you one piece of advice going to Romania?
Yeah. Tell me.
Number one, take a coat because it's going to be pretty really cold, and you might need to work on your languages as well. I don't know if you speak 10 different languages, but you could have some fun over there.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Liam. I'll put that into consideration.
There is all things I'm sure you're thinking about, but I think the cold will get you, especially when you've been sitting on a sun lounger in Zim for the last month. You've got to think about these things.
Yeah, man. Just so it's snowing, but I should be all right.
Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. You're a tough guy. We're now getting to possibly my favourite bit. This is where we've asked some listeners to send in their questions for you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
But being the nice host that I am, I've gone through them, looked through them. Ones that are going to embarrass you, I've thought about twice, and I've gone easy. I've gone really easy on you.
No, it's fine, man. Let's do it. Let's just.
I was hoping for some really horrible ones, because when people send stuff in, you can't disappoint fans and you can't disappoint listeners. So it's almost like children asking. You have to be truthful. We've got a question from Theodore, who I think's from Zim as well. And he wants to ask, this is kind of the question I was referring to earlier. He says, what do you think is stopping the league in Zimbabwe from being a renowned, famous rugby league in the region? What needs to be done to keep rugby alive from education up to make that league a more successful and attractive one? What do you think?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Theodore, for the question. One thing, Liam, I'm going to tell you, and to everyone listening, is just that, Zimbabwe, for rugby to change, we got to have a model. And if we look at South African rugby, then the way it's structured, the problem in Zimbabwe is our grassroots. I started playing rugby when I was in Form 3, which is probably like 16-year-old. But the problem is my primary school, I didn't know anything to do with rugby. We just used to say, oh, that funny ball, So, things like that. Our rugby at grassroots is not the best. Some schools don't even play rugby. And if we go to South Africa, we have under-9 league going on and under-10s going on, and the parents get involved at an early stage. As compared to rugby in Zimbabwe, I feel like it's still being played by the top schools, by, the St. John's, the St. George's. Those are the only schools that emphasize on rugby more. So I think it should be widespread in the country. And that helps with selection as well, because now these guys will be pushed to train harder to play, much better rugby. And selection is just coming from the top schools. So that needs to be worked on, just the grassroots, and making sure that we have qualified coaches going to help the kids at a younger age. There's some, crucial time when someone actually adapts to a lot of things and understands the sport of rugby and in all other sports. So rugby needs to be sorted out at grassroots. Just moving on, maybe our admin and just having people who are so passionate about the sport and also reviving the club, the club cultures and, making sure that if someone has finished school, if you're from Mutare, you're going to Mutare Shumbas, people just having that club culture in them. Because right now people just, roam around the clubs and they don't know the meaning of the club. So we need to revive that as well. And also, it's important to have academies, straight from high school. You come in from high school, we don't have, there's a gap. So we need to bridge that gap because from high school, you can't expect a player from high school unless you're so exceptional, like Kevin Bosch maybe, to just, from high school to go and play international rugby. So we don't have rugby academies in Zimbabwe, like renowned rugby academies that are bridging that gap to help the people, the youngsters coming from high school, to be able to become professional players in 2 years or, in a year. So we don't have that, and that needs to be looked at. And I think the under-21 league that has just been introduced is good, but a lot of work needs to be done as well. And maybe we can revive our varsity rugby because that also has been non-functional. It's not being played at the highest level. Yeah, I think there's a lot that I can say, but I think this is just... the basis and, the primary role that we need to look at before we start looking at the national team actually.
Man, laying down the wisdom there, Ngoni. That was something.
Yes.
I'm making
system,
notes.
Yeah. Thanks, Leo.
Yeah, exactly. You're speaking from experience. So
Yeah.
that's a very good question, especially on the topic we're talking about. Hopefully raises a lot of questions, gets people talking about it more. We've got Matinda here from Kenya, who wants to know, Ngoni, how do you deal with game anxiety? So we're talking about, I'm assuming these pre-match nerves, or how do you deal with the pressure and nerves?
Oh no, and Liam, I'm going to tell you one thing. I get that question a lot of times. Before a game, the game is played before, long before. So leading up the whole week, you got to start working on the things that you need to do in the game. But I'll tell you one thing, Liam, I'm super excited every time before I play the game because that's what I train for. I'll go into the gym, because I want to smash somebody. So, no offense. Sometimes, you got to find what you're comfortable with doing before the game, but don't think about the game too much. I've got mates in my rugby team, and please don't tell my coach this, but we're always cracking jokes during the game. And it helps us calm us down, and we dance and we do all those things. But just you need to get excited before the game because that's what you want to do, and it's normal because you get nerves are there and stuff like that. But don't let the nerves take advantage of you because by the time the game finishes, you're still nervous and you wouldn't have expressed yourself, the thing that you've been working for the whole week, the whole month, the past years. So. Every game day I get so excited, but also I think what calms me down is that just knowing that God has gone before me because, my faith is on God and I know God has gone before me. So I'm like, God, I'm here now. Just use me. And I just go and run on the park. I smile, I look up and everything just happens. So I get so excited.
Man, that's good. That's encouraging.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Sure.
There you go, Matinda. It's all about loving what you do, working hard, and basically just enjoying the moment you're in, I guess.
100%. Yeah,
taken from the best. There you go, from the words of him. There we go. You mentioned God there in your faith, which I know must be a really important part of what you do. I suppose people would say, listening to this now, they'd be saying, "Oh yeah, that's cool for you." But what's the point of all that? You're making it in rugby. You're in charge of what you're doing. You've got your routines. You seem to be doing just fine. Why do you need God or any kind of Christian faith whatsoever? What would you say to that?
Yeah, man. Liam, I was just my journey. Liam, I don't come from the best financially financial background where my parents. I can't say my parents are rich, but I don't know what is rich, man.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're a happy family. But I don't come from a family where everything was just set for me. But then I realized that when I started praying to God and just knowing that there is a higher being, for me, I personally grew and things started happening for me. And it's just not about, praying to God so that He can help me in rugby, no. But just having a relationship with Him actually helps me a lot. It keeps me away from trouble. It helps me grow. I analyze situations better. I don't get mad easily. I've never had a fight in rugby. I've never got like a red card or even a yellow card in rugby. So, just my faith with God. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person, but it just, it humbles me. My journey is, has been really something else, where we used to walk to school like 6, 7 Ks, going to the sports club just to train. By the time you get there, you're really tired. We used to buy stuff, funny fruits on the way to the sports, and probably sometimes just go in a park and eat the strange nuts. So man, my story just humbles me. But what kept me going is I prayed to God and I fasted. And I remember getting a scholarship, and most of my school's, tuition was looked after because I just prayed to God and I said, God, I know this is where I am, and I know I wanted to go to the best schools in Zimbabwe. And I know it was going to be a burden on my dad. My dad could have afforded that or took a loan, but I just prayed to God, so God help my family, help my dad, and just empower us to become, a better family and help me grow. And now, man, from walking, I'll be honest with you, and I wasn't ashamed with that. And from walking every weekend to the sports club, like 7 Ks to go, 7 to go back. And now I'm just the way I've traveled all around the world is just through the sport and obviously through God and having faith. It's just been amazing, and just my journey has been good. And I know that God has helped me, and I can't take that anything away from that.
I suppose that's an example of putting your faith in positive things. On the flip side of that, putting your faith in things that are rubbish. Am I right in thinking you're a Man United supporter?
Yes, I'm a Man United supporter. How did you know that?
Well, people talk. I think people are as upset with you as I am. So it was always going to come out at some point.
Oh, Sham, I'm rich. I love Manchester.
It was going so well. This whole chat was going really well. Could have been friends after this.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, Man U's just been amazing.
Let me have 1 minute to just grill you, because we don't want any glory hunters here. We don't want anyone who doesn't actually, care about the team. Yeah. So let's see if you really do like Man United. How do you think things are going at the minute?
Okay, good question, man. I just love Manchester United. It's not about the performance right now, but my dad's just been a supporter, and I just bought into that. I watch the games. I don't like watching the whole game. I just watch the highlights. And they've got amazing players. We all know that, man. That's yeah.
Well, yeah, you're deflecting very well. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're not perfect, are we? None of us are perfect.
No, we're not. Yeah.
We'll carry on. It's fine. We like to look at just a bit of world rugby news. And just look at a couple of stories at the minute. They've just literally published the world rankings in the last week. Oh. And obviously All Blacks are still at the top, because I was doing some research into Zim actually, and I know exactly where Zim are. I bet you don't. Where they're placed.
Well, I know where my country is, man. We last time I checked, we were 34.
Oh, well, you don't want to look now then.
Well, yeah, double check, man. We probably just went down the ranks.
But I wanted to test you. If All Blacks aren't number one, I wanted to see if you could guess the rest of the top 5 at the minute.
Okay, I'll try. Do you want me to try?
I want you to try. So if we're saying All Blacks are number 1, which team do you think would be floating around number 2?
Okay, so All Blacks will definitely have maybe Ireland number 2. Am I right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
You're not bad at this.
Okay. I'm just judging by last year's performance, taking a guess, because Ireland played really good. So All Blacks, Ireland. I really love South Africa, but I don't know if they're number 3, man. Yeah, but I'm going to have to go with South Africa at number 3.
Okay, I know you love South Africa, but that was a bit optimistic, wasn't it? Really, they're not number 3. They're number 5 currently.
What?
So you're looking
No.
for 3rd best in the world and 4th best in the world. You've got New Zealand, Ireland, someone, South Africa. Who are the 2
Okay.
sitting above South Africa?
So, can I slot in Wales?
Yeah, Wales are there. They're 4th. And who's 3rd?
Who did these rankings? I think the person is from Europe.
These are these are up to date. These are up to date rankings. But yeah, it's always up for debate.
Wow. Okay, and probably the last one, guys, it's Australia. No.
Think
Australia
a
can't
bit
be better than South Africa.
You said a European person did this. You need to keep going with that. If Ireland are in there, Wales are in there, England.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Eddie Jones. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. Personally apologise, Eddie Jones.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I really apologize, man. Yeah. England. Yeah.
I think to be fair to you, that's a tough thing because they've just been updated after the recent weekend where England absolutely annihilated France, so they've jumped up. But yeah, so you've got New Zealand number 1, Ireland number 2, England number 3, Wales number 4, and then South Africa. So Australia aren't even in the top 5. Neither are France.
That's Joe. Yeah.
But more interestingly for you though, they've got Namibia at 22. They've got Kenya at 32, and then what I saw was Zim at 40. Now I think that's a bit harsh. I don't think you're 8. I don't think you're 8 places below Kenya. Do you?
No, I don't think so as well. But like I said, our country needs to work, and I think if we get numbers like that, then we're not going to be very comfortable. We're going to have to put in the work. So I think that we deserve it. To be honest, we're going to have to work harder to be better.
Okay, you've taken that on the chin. That's good.
Yeah.
Didn't want you to get angry or anything.
We have to. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing, man. I want to have a look at it.
But it's always changing around. But no, you did well. I think you got 3 out of 5. So congrats. You should be proud of that for a guy who doesn't follow the Six Nations.
For sure. But I think South Africa should be 2nd or 3rd. And then maybe the top 3 should be New Zealand, South Africa, and England.
Okay.
Ireland, yes, but they just, I don't know. They just kick the ball all the time.
Yeah, we could chat about that for hours. It's Ireland. Nobody likes to talk about Ireland for too long. So we won't do that to them. One issue I wanted to talk to you about as well. Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus this week has come out and said that he will be selecting players who are playing outside of South Africa because there's been this whole debate about should players for their international side have to play in their own backyard to be selected, which is interesting for you, seeing as you're about to go off to Romania. So let's hope they don't apply that to Zim at any time soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said he's going to start taking... The majority of players are still going to be in South Africa, but he's going to start looking abroad because some of them are performing really well. I mean, do you have an opinion on that in terms of, do you think players should be allowed to go wherever they want to go and it shouldn't impact their international selection? Or do you think players need to stay at home because that's going to build up support and all of that jazz?
Yeah. So from a player's perspective, players should be chosen on merit, and it doesn't matter where a player is. If someone is in England, take an example, Faf de Klerk, he's good enough to play for the Boks, so give him an opportunity from a player's perspective. But I think they're looking at it just to grow the South African rugby, and I think that actually that's not fair to the players. So there's always pros and cons and advantages and disadvantages to this move but for Rassie Erasmus, I think it's good for South African rugby because now they've got a wide range to select their players, and it will definitely help South Africa to become a better or a top team, get back to number 1 or number 2. So I think it's really good that Rassie has thought about this, and I wish all the best to South Africa, and I know they will definitely do well.
Good answer. Spoken by a man who really knows his game, his South African.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe we'll start campaigning for Zim players. They have to be within the continent, and then we'll see how quickly you have to run back from Romania.
Yes. We've got a lot of good players. Talk about the Mujati. Talk about Paul Cook, Tendai Mutaria. We could make a strong team. Yeah, man.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Okay, Ngoni, we love to finish with just a little bit of a game, just
Okay.
to top things off. This is just our favourites game, so I just want to know what your favourite things are. I'm going to ask you the question. I just want you to tell me what your favourite one of these is. Okay.
Okay.
Very straightforward. Okay, what is your favourite movie?
Favorite movie has to be, I think, Love Don't Cost a Thing. I like High School, man.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's an old movie.
That is an old movie. I wasn't expecting anything to date back that far.
Love Don't Cost a Thing.
Wow. How many
I
times do you
like
reckon
that
you've seen that movie?
I think more than 20 times. It reminds me of my childhood, man. You know, when you're like 15 or 16, when you think you actually need a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, all those things happening. So, yeah.
living the dream there, mate. Living the dream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
What about your favourite book?
My favorite book has to be the Shauna book.
Oh yeah.
The Shauna book. Wait, I'm trying to think of the name, man.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like your favourite.
Just ran away. Well,
What's your favourite type of fast food? I mean, don't lie to me and say that you never eat unhealthy, even though you're a bit of a gym guy.
I eat, Liam, I'll tell you one thing. I eat anything. This is really bad to the listeners, but as long as you train hard in the gym, you're good. So, favorite fast food has to be chicken or cheap chicken triple decker pizza from Debonairs. It's
sounds
so
pretty
nice.
epic.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Man.
Yeah.
What's your favourite social media platform?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll just have to go with Instagram.
I would say Instagram. You're on there a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm on Instagram. I think that's the best way to keep up with everyone.
Yeah.
You can't be on Facebook because, I don't know, Facebook is just a bit strange.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
You get the uncles greeting you on your on your comment section. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
The older generation love a
Yeah.
bit of Facebook.
Yeah.
What's your favourite rugby player to watch on the planet right now?
Favorite rugby player to watch, man.
Who's entertaining?
Entertaining player.
Or just someone who's out of this world amazing. You could just watch them on YouTube all day.
Yeah, what? Let me think. I think. Jeez, I think I like a lot of players, man. I adore each and every player because they have different attributes. But I think I have to go with Cheslin Colby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's hotter than it. He is on fire.
Yeah. He's amazing, man. He's a great stepper. He understands the game. I know he's small, but he's really dangerous.
This one will be an easy one for you. Something along your lines. What's your favourite workout at the gym?
I think, to be honest, I love a bit of snatch, CrossFit. I like.
You like CrossFit?
I like functional movements and just a full body thing. And I like explosive stuff.
CrossFit's an absolute killer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is amazing. And a bit of biceps, obviously, at the end. I always finish with the biceps and core.
Yeah, make you feel good as you walk out.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I've left the most important one till last. What is your favourite type of meat?
I love pork, man. There's no two ways about it.
I thought you were going to say you're a veggie for a minute.
No.
Wouldn't do that. Wouldn't dream of doing that.
Well, maybe later on in life, but at the moment, I'm going to stick to my pork.
So are we talking like pulled pork? Are we talking a big slab of pork on a plate with veg and potato? What kind of pork are we talking?
Rib.
Stack full of ribs.
Yeah, stack full of ribs.
Getting very hungry talking about this.
No, me too, man.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
You've survived. Thank you so much for joining us now on the podcast. It's been awesome.
Thanks to you, Liam.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And I'm sure we'll get you on again. We'll get you on again once you're settled into Romania and you need some company and you're a bit cold.
Yeah. Thank you, man. It's going to be crazy, but anyways, we hope for the best. Thank you so much, Liam.
The Planet Sport Rugby Podcast.
That's it for episode 2 of this All Africa series. A massive thanks again, Ngoni Chibuwe. You need to go check out what he's doing with his foundation and now also going off to Romania as well. Do you keep up to date with our social media across Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at PS Rugby Podcast? We also want you to join our WhatsApp community where you can keep updated with upcoming episodes, and even more importantly, as you saw today, you can send in your questions for our rugby guests to answer here on the podcast. We love to put them on the spot, so just drop us a WhatsApp message. The number is +44 7707 776 790. That's +44 7707 776 790. So many sevens, it's crazy. With your name, that's all you need to do, and where you are in the world, and we will get you involved on the podcast. Okay, do join us for our next episode, where again we'll be getting to know one of Africa's best in the world of rugby. And if you want to listen again to anything that we've been talking about with Ngoni today, you can on iTunes or just visit our website at planetsport.tv. Okay, until next time, I'm Liam Flint, and you've been listening to the Planet Sport Rugby Podcast.